Okay, everyone. So I want to make this quick, short, sweet, maybe about 7 to 10 minutes, not sure really. Um, but I want to talk about LeBron James, Bronny James Jr., and the fact that this young man is an incredible athlete. But then, of course, life happened, and unfortunately, he had a heart attack. And I want to express to you how life just happens anyway. Because I think a lot of people like predetermined outcomes, but that's not really the best version of life. That's what we like to pretend life is, but it's really not what life is. And so my wife and I were talking about something as simple as a CD. She said, are they going to start putting CD players back in cars again? And I said, I'm sure they have some kind of way you could get a trunk mounted version of a 3 disc or a multi-disc CD player in your car. But just think about this, guys, if you would. Cars have transitioned to forcing you not to play a CD in it. And the CD is not really a problem for the car manufacturer, but they're actually following this data, and that data that they're following comes from AI. Trust me, old guys are not figuring these things out on their own. And I've had several meetings with people who told me many things about what AI can do, including kind of sense your heat signature over the phone. So they actually know when you're lying, when you're talking to them over the phone. So this isn't, I'm not going to say it's scary stuff, because this is stuff that's been going on for 15 years. But where we're advancing to is where it's getting a little bit interesting. Okay. So I'm not the kind of person that's a conspiracy theorist. I don't like wasting time with that. I like to see how and when and where we can actually not only maneuver this thing, but place ourselves in a better position of authority. And that's really all I'm doing. The banking industry, I do want to talk about that, guys. That's a lot of money to come up missing. Okay, now it's not coming up missing. It's just been withdrawn from the banking system. I think you need to ask the question, where does that money go? So something you need to know is that banks they don't basically have money in them. Okay, as soon as money goes into the bank sends that money out to the market. So for that kind of money to be withdrawn from banks, you need to know that when banks slow you down as far as your withdrawals, and it takes a day or two and they take you through all those security measures, there's a reason behind that, guys. And it's not wholesome reasons. It's not what they tell you. In some cases, maybe they just don't have the money and they're waiting another 24 hours until they can get it. So I just want you to start thinking way outside of the box. If you haven't been participating up until yet, I'm really just doing this so that you can work those participation muscles, because you're going to need those muscles real soon. So when we were talking about the music business, actually it was really neat speaking to Dr. Harris yesterday and the things that she was discussing. And then she was from Mount Vernon, New York. So it just so happened she knew some of the athletes and some people that I knew. We had some common ground. And one of the people she knew was Mr. Scooter McRae and Mr. Roddy McRae, right? Scooter lives in Louisville, Kentucky. He's got the Lazy Boy Showcase warehouses. Scooter actually, we went to him years ago and asked him if he would invest in Erica Nicole Malone Entertainment. So I want you to understand that people miss on you all the time. He passed up on his opportunity to invest in Erica Nicole Malone Entertainment. At that time, I was working at the Saturn store in 2009. He would come in because he was good friends with my top salesman at the time, Mr. Kevin Willis. And it's just how it goes. I think we think of success like King of the Hill, but it's not really King of the Hill. You might be on top, but if you see something that you want, you better go ahead and attach to that too, because that other person that comes in on the humble sometimes will make it a lot further than you projected that they would make it. And so one of the things that he missed on us, was the same thing that everybody misses on us, is that we were well trained. We're trained by a pro. So as we were talking in the music business, I went ahead and spoke at the very end. And I said, here's the thing. And if you want to listen to her podcast, you can listen to it. I think it comes on Tuesdays, but I'll repost it. But on XM54. But here's the thing. You have to stop thinking that you're owed anything and that money is promised, because it's not. Every time you decide to do something, you are taking on a risk. All this stuff, don't be risk averse. Be used to the risk. Right now, leaving your money in a bank account is also risky. Believe it or not, folks, I need you to wake up. There's going to be some banks that go away before the end of the year, and there are definitely going to be some that go away before 2024. That's not to scare you. That's to prepare you. That's to wake you up. Don't just go through the motions and do the same old thing. Now, as we were talking about the music industry, how they don't do the huge contracts anymore. And I'm going to relate this back to Kevin O'Leary and how he said data is the new oil. Guys, we spent a long time talking about the demographics and talking about people's Twitter accounts and talking about people's Facebook accounts and talking about people's TikTok and talking about all these different social media streams, Instagram and everything else. You know why? Because that's where we are now. And I need you to think about it. As my son goes back to school tomorrow, he's picking up an iPad, not using books. We're already there. If you resist technology, I'm not going to say you're a fool, but you're ill-prepared. You are heavily ill-prepared. They're scanning your movie tickets off your phone when you go see the movie. That's what just happened to us today. We went to see the movie, and you really need to not only wake up, but you need to engage. This isn't the time to be on the bottom of the food chain, because if you're on the bottom of the food chain, you're going to be poor. In the next 5 years, you will be poor. So you're going to have to make a decision regardless of what that decision is. And so in many cases, when I started this, to be honest, I was just making a decision. Did I expect it to get as far as it's gotten? Probably not. But as God would have it, it did. And I thank God for that. So I've mentioned this book to you before, the Willie Lynch letter. You need to read this if you're African American. And one of the reasons you need to read it is not so you can become angry, but so that you can understand the idea of control and what that does to the mind. There are people out there that would love to control you, right? And that's, want you to get back in place and all those kinds of things. But that place is really for greed, for the purposes of greed. So let's go back to that CD player in the car. Why is it missing from the car? Because they can make you purchase another accessory for the car, guys. That's why. And they can put a higher price on it. If they equip the car with it, plus the other technical stuff that's in the car, they don't make that additional coin. They don't make that additional money. So now not only do you have the price of the car going up, but you also have the price of accessories going up. Because if you want to have that CD player, then you're going to have to add it to the car, plus labor and everything else. I've shared with you before that in order to rebuild a car, it would cost you the price of that car 10 to 15 to 20 times the amount. That's how car dealerships make their money. They make a lot of money in that service department. So you have to start thinking not like just a consumer. You're going to have to start thinking like an actual business. And if you're going to think like a business, you are the brand. And so I woke up with this idea this morning, and I thought to myself, the idea of Hollywood doesn't really exist anymore. Hollywood is in your cell phone. Hollywood is when you decide to make a podcast or you decide to develop yourself. That's Hollywood now. Hollywood is right in your own home. It's all in how you prep it. You don't want to have a background of an ugly background of your home and all that kind of stuff, right? You don't want that. But that's Hollywood. I'll give you the example of like Country Wayne and all the time that he puts into it. And I think last time I checked, Country Wayne was like worth about 30 million, somewhere in that area. But Country Wayne, he's out there and you see his material. Do you think Country Wayne waited? He did not. Country Wayne did not wait. Country Wayne was literally a guy who literally was an actual comedian, and he did his thing. Country Wayne did his thing, and as a comedian out in LA and in Atlanta, he wasn't getting the play that he really wanted. And so he created his own details, his own thing. And see, when I tell you about Trenton, remember guys, Trenton can show you all the data and analytics that these people are actually talking about. So what I really built for you is a platform that you could use in any business, including acting and singing, because you do have a Trenton in the house. You do have SMSS token. You do have someone that'll explain what they're looking at and knows it. He went to school for it, guys. So you really have to use these tools. We actually have a conference coming up in September that we're promoting for. That's going to be myself and Trenton with SMSS and some other guys. Guys, you need to start plugging in. I can show you how to make money, but you're going to have to listen and you're going to have to implement. And no one's coming to save the day. God bless you all. I'll talk a little bit more about this tomorrow, but I love you all to life. I actually got to go and get something to eat. If If you have any questions, feel free to answer or to acknowledge or to call me back or whatever it is. You have my number. It's area code 502-235-0617. I'd be more than happy to sit you down and kind of get you to a place of understanding. But this is not the time to waffle. It's not the time to beg. It's not the time to back up. It's the time to move forward. God bless you all. Love you to life. Happy Sunday. Peace.